CEO Bear, episode 2. Winning versus not losing. Winning versus not losing. There is a difference. A lot of people stumble through life with the idea that I'm going to at least not lose today, without actually having a plan on how to win the day. Win the day being a phrase that Andy Frisella, CEO of First Form, and one of the two gentlemen involved in the Arete Syndicate brings up all the time. You should check out his podcast, the MF CEO podcast, as well as Real AF. And if you're not a fan of four-letter words, this episode's not going to be for you, and Andy Frisella's definitely not going to be for you. But what a shame you're missing out on all that great information because you don't like a particular sound that comes out of somebody's face. Winning versus not losing. The primary difference between winning and not losing that I see, and it really comes down to offense versus defense, is winning is having an offensive strategy, a plan that you can execute on. Not losing is basically being reactive rather than proactive. Reacting to contact all day, all year, all decade, your entire life. External stimulus happens, therefore I go into react mode and I try and mitigate the damage from this external stimulus. That's way different than I have a plan, a well thought out plan, that allows me to execute regardless of what the external stimulus is. Now, I may adjust that plan, I may pivot from time to time because of external stimulus. Good example of this, small example of this, Refuge Medical. War in Ukraine kicks off, February 2022. The prepper sphere goes absolutely apeshit. Okay. There's a lot of demand in that sphere. Some of it, rightfully so. So we got KiO3, potassium iodate, in stock. Couldn't keep it in stock. Bought that stuff by the pallet. Was not a product that we offered beforehand, but it's a product that I personally have in my own home. So we got pallets of it, and we sold pallets of it at a reasonable price while still making a decent profit on it, to you and everybody else. That wasn't part of our plan for 2022, but that external stimulus, because we had a plan, allowed us to react in an offensive manner, right? Rather than, oh my gosh, Russia's gonna drop nuclear warheads on everybody, shut the business down, there's no point in living anymore, I'm gonna go crawl in my bunker and stay there for a year or two. At which point I'll come out and realize, the world's pretty much the same as it was when I went into the bunker. And having missed all those opportunities that presented themselves over that year or two where I had my head in the dirt, literally or figuratively. So winning implies that you have a goal or a set of goals. We talked about ambition, right? Abnormal goals require abnormal work ethic in order to achieve those goals. You need to know what your goals are. You need to know what the mission is. The mission at Refuge Medical is to save lives while in service to the Father's kingdom and experiencing the abundance of His provision and blessing. You get to decide what abundance looks like. For us, it's not simply profit-driven. It's being able to do good work with good people that's meaningful, building good relationships, saving people's lives. And a big part of the abundance that we have is not yachts and Lamborghinis, it's land. It's sheep. It's really strong, excellent relationships with people that we love, right? But that's our mission statement. Within that mission statement, or in support of that mission statement, we have strategic initiatives, otherwise known as goals. Things we have to do, things we have to execute on, that get us from where we are to where we want to be, to fulfill those ridiculously optimistic ambitions that we have, right? Those abnormal goals. So it starts with you of having a goal, a mission for your life. And if that's too big for you, start with today. My goal today is XYZ. I track a number of metrics every day. How much sleep I got, how much I weigh, what I ate during the day, and I use the Notes app on my phone. You can use a journal, you can use a sheet of paper, whatever. Another Andy Frisella thing is the power list. Look it up. From Sean Whalen, I got power, purpose, passion, productivity. These 4 different areas of my life that I'm tracking every day. Power being, what did you feed your body and how did you move your body today? Purpose, what did you feed your mind today? What did you eat with your eyeballs and your ears today? Passion, how are you meaningfully showing up in your relationships every day? Right? Don't just phone it in. If you only have 15 minutes to spend with your wife today, they better be a good 15 minutes, right? If you only have 5 minutes to spend with your children today, they better be a good 5 minutes. Don't just phone it in. And then productivity. How are you earning? How are you earning to achieve those abnormal goals? Power, passion, purpose, and productivity. So track those 4 things every day. So that I'm inventorying my goals and my actions to meet those goals every day. Okay, so I have a plan. Planning is really important. Reverse planning process. We talked about in episode 1 of CEO Bear, no peasant shit. Let's say you want to buy land and that land is $100,000 and you've given yourself a 2-year timetable to buy land. That works out to roughly $1,000 a week that you need to save. Right? That's taking the goal, buying the land, which is broken up of several different action items, save $100,000, identify land, be able to execute on the land, right? The planning to move from where you are to where the land is, etc., right? So there's action items inside of that goal. But breaking that down into bite-sized pieces, $1,000 a week. Now, what's my plan to earn an additional $1,000 a week? How am I going to do that? When I was in North Texas, working as the GM of that wood shop, we knew we had to get out of debt. We knew we had to move. And so when you're in a hole, the first thing you do to get out of the hole is stop digging. So we quit spending money we didn't need to spend. And then I told my wife, I'm going to work 1 additional day per week. For me, I'm already going into all these people's houses 5 days a week, hanging cabinets, trim, flooring, stair treads, you know, custom furniture, all this stuff. I'm already doing that. I wonder if I could run base mold for them. The answer is yes, I can. Or crown mold, or hang doors, or windows, or whatever. And I made an additional $26,000 cash that year, working a few hours each day, 3 to 5 hours, 1 extra day a week. When we moved up here and we had to spin up this homestead, I was working 70 hours a week, 4 days a week. 70 hours a week in 4 days in North Texas, plus the commute, a few hundred miles each direction, and then coming up here, working a couple days a week on the homestead, taking the money I was earning from that 70 hours a week and pouring it into the homestead so that we could buy animals, buy fence, build barns, fix the house, plumb the well, etc., right? Abnormal goals require abnormal work ethic. Back to planning. So you need a plan, and that plan should be reverse engineered from what my goal is and then into bite-sized steps how I'm going to get there. And if you don't have a big overarching goal for 2023, start with today. What's my goal today? My goal today is to eat clean, move my body, spend meaningful time with the people that I love, be productive, right? And feed my mind and my soul. Okay. Start doing that every day until it becomes second nature, where you feel wrong if you didn't move your body today. You feel wrong if you didn't hang out with your wife today. You feel wrong if you didn't read your word and read some other book today. Then you can start extrapolating that out over the long term, the week, the month, the year. What does that look like? But you can't hit a target you can't see. The first thing you do before you take a shot is PID, positive identification of the target. What's the goal? What's the target? If you can't see it, if you can't identify the target, You can't hit it, okay? So with your planning, while you're planning, you're going to identify weaknesses, your weaknesses. This is good. There's two schools of thought with weaknesses. The first is you could train up all of your weaknesses so that you're not weak in any areas. That's usually a time suck. That usually doesn't work very well. A better way to address that is to find people who are better at the things that you're weak at than you are and employ them, whether that's with cash or with arrangements. Hey, I'm really good at roofing, you're really good at tile, I'll do your roof if you can do my tile, right? Whatever it may be. So barter, swap, or maybe they just love you. Maybe you've got a cousin who's one of your best friends who's a tax attorney and you've got questions, right? But you farm those things out, you give them away to people that are more believable and more knowledgeable than you are in that facet of life that you're not good at. So you're mitigating your weaknesses by doing that, and that's really important because that ties into what's called the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do every day yields 80% of the benefit, 80% of the profit. And the Pareto principle applies to basically everything. 20% of the people in an organization produce 80% of the results. 80% of your actions every day, 80% of your time is only producing 20% of your results. You're burning 8/10 of your time on things that are not producing results. Pareto principle. Mr. Pareto was a mathematician, and if you look hard enough, you'll find this principle everywhere. So that means you need to identify what the 20% is that you're doing every day that produces 80% of your results, and then double down on that. If you double down on that, now you're spending 4/10 of your time, 40% of your time producing 160% of your results, creating a 60% surplus. This requires you to take an inventory of who you are and what you do and what you're good at and your weaknesses, what you're not good at. And then don't do the things you're not good at. In many cases, it's better to not do something than it is to do it poorly. Doing it poorly can create way more headache, way more struggle and strife down the road than if you didn't do it at all. That becomes a time suck in of itself. You would have been better off not doing it than doing it wrong, okay? So during your planning process, you're going to identify weaknesses in your plan and weaknesses in you. That's going to require you to delegate in those areas that you're weak. And this gets back to the concept that we are better than me. I don't know everything. I can't do everything. I don't want to do everything. But I have a team of killers around me that do know everything. We know everything. We do everything. We execute on the entirety of the plan. And so I am 100% out on the lone wolf idea, not just from a preparedness standpoint, but from life in general. People build teams. Tribe is a thing. One person has never won a Super Bowl by themselves. One person has never built a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar company. One person has never been the research team that won a Nobel Prize. Okay, one person doesn't run a country. They have teams of people around them. And so you have to get out of the mindset of the I'm the guy, I'm the girl, it's all me. It's not all you. And if it is all you, you have to build a team of people around you that you can delegate your weaknesses to. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to move forward down the path towards your goal. This is just a fact. Argue it all you want. It's just a fact. Once you've built the plan, once you've identified the weaknesses in the plan and in yourself, and you've delegated to mitigate those weaknesses, now you need to execute. You need to work the plan. And again, you may pivot throughout the plan, but by knowing what the plan is and the plan supports the goal, if you have to pivot off of due north towards the goal, you can always navigate back to due north toward the goal because you have a plan. If you don't have a plan, if you navigate off of due north because you have to pivot, because some external factor has caused you to have to maneuver, excuse the wind, I'm not in charge of the weather. Some external factor has caused you to have to maneuver. If you don't know where you're going, you'll never get back on track. You'll end up way over here in the weeds saying it never worked out. I don't know why it didn't work. I'm so lost. I'm so exhausted. What happened? It's because you didn't know what the plan was. You didn't know what the goal was. You had no way to navigate. You can't triangulate without at least 3 positions on the map, right? And I would submit in your life, the positions on your map are where you were, where you are, and where you're going. So if you don't know where you're going, most of us have a pretty good idea of where we've come from. The things that have happened to us, the people who have supported us or tore us down, the circumstances of life that got us to here, right? Many fewer people have a real good idea, snapshot in time of who I am right now. First, know thyself. Who am I right now? And the I that I am right now is different than the I that I was a year ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, right? So who I was, who I am, who am I right now? And that's part of inventorying your weaknesses when you're doing your plan. And then who am I in the future? What do I want to be? Do I want to be thinner, stronger, faster, more agile, more wealthy, live in a different place, have stronger relationships, be smarter, be more spiritual? What are my goals? What am I trying to get towards, right? And so with those 3 points on the map, you can triangulate who I was, who I am, who I will be. But if you don't know what this goal is over here, you get lost. No plan, no map sheet, you can't navigate, okay? So by knowing what the goal is, true dead north, we're navigating this way. If you have to pivot, okay, you have to come off to go around an obstacle, you have to maneuver, you can always navigate back towards the goal. Without clearly articulating what the goal is, when you maneuver, you'll get over here into the weeds. So it's incredibly important to understand what the goal is. That also contributes deeply to your decision-making process. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Does it support the mission? Does it support the goal? If it doesn't support the goal, no, I'm not doing it. Should I eat this entire cheesecake? Not if the goal is to be thin and sexy, right? Should I buy a Lambo? Not if the goal is to be truly wealthy. See what I mean? Should I don't know, should I go to the gym today? Well, if the goal is to be thin and healthy and sexy, maybe the answer to that is yes, I should. But my knees and my hips really hurt. Maybe I need to rest today, right? So if that decision supports the goal, now you can do a cost-benefit analysis on that decision. What is it going to cost me to do it? How do I benefit from it? Do I move forward? So if that decision does not support the goal, we don't even think about it. Throw it over here. Get rid of it. Not important. If it does support the goal, now we can examine that cost-benefit analysis and decide whether or not to execute on it. Execute on it. So you work the plan. Last portion here. After action report, AAR. Examine. Learn from the execution phase. Okay? What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What did we see coming? What did we not see coming? Who overperformed? Who underperformed? Learn. Then you take those lessons learned and they become a set of principles that you use in order to execute on the next goal. And then when you set the next goal, whether it's tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, next decade, when you set the next goal, you now have all those lessons learned from the execution and the planning that you did to achieve goal 1 that feeds into goal 2. And then you go right back into that planning process for goal 2, right? We plan out what it's going to take to achieve goal 2. We inventory our personal weaknesses and the weaknesses in the plan for goal 2 so that we can mitigate the risk that those weaknesses represent. We delegate in those areas where we're weak. We execute on the plan. We learn from executing on plan 2. And then we take all those lessons learned and we feed it into plan 3, plan 4, plan 5, over and over and over again. Now you're gaining momentum. You're moving faster and faster and faster at this. You're gaining more and more knowledge as you do this. You're getting stronger as you do this. You're building deeper and deeper relationships as you do this. So the difference between not losing, which is essentially defense, I'm gonna crawl into the bunker and wait for the world to go by because it's scary out there. By the way, what makes you think it's gonna be less scary in a year or two when you crawl out of the bunker than it was when you went into the bunker? There's no guarantee of that. Right? So not losing is pacifism. It's defense. It's staying right here, hoping that nothing changes. And if something pops up, maybe I'll shoot at it and maybe I won't. Winning is going on the offense. The best defense is a good offense, right? Static positions are a monument to man's stupidity, right? Winning is having a plan so you can go on the offensive, so you can get what you need to accomplish those goals, whatever those goals may be. They're your goals. You set them. You figure out what it is that you need to do to build your life up so that you can be a better you, so you can do a better job at providing, protecting, and blessing your household and the people that the Father has given you to steward. Not losing versus winning. Two very different mindsets. One is defense, one is offense. There's nobody who's spoken of favorably throughout the history of time who was on defense their entire life. They took mitigated, calculated risk over and over and over again. And it doesn't mean that that isn't scary at times, because it is. But change is the only constant in life. So are you going to take risks for you? Or are you going to allow somebody else to take risks on your behalf? The way we mitigate that risk so that we can come out on the other end better than we went into it, whatever that cycle is, day, week, month, year, lifetime, the way we mitigate that risk is, again, third time, last time, planning first, inventorying your weaknesses in the plan and yourself, delegating those weaknesses so that you're mitigating that risk, executing on the plan, learning from that execution, and then taking all of that and feeding it into the next goal, over and over and over again. My brother, Stalwart Peacekeeper, said the OODA loop should be an upward spiral. OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act. We think of this as a loop like this, right? Observe, orient, decide, act. So you act, and then after you act, you observe, then you orient on the problem, then you decide what to do about it, COAs, courses of action, and then you act on one of those courses of action. And then you observe, right? AAR, or whatever it may be. Observe, orient, decide, act. OODA loop. Well, if you do that properly, it looks more like this. Look at the screen. Instead of just going in circles, every time you complete one of those cycles, you're moving up a step. Observe, orient, decide, act. Observe, orient, decide, act. Observe, orient, decide, act. Up, 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 up. The OODA loop should be an upward cycle. So should be the same cycle of these goals, implementing this process so that you can move further and further down the field towards accomplishing your goals, whatever they may be. That's the difference between winning and not losing. Not losing is pacifism. Not losing is hope, and hope is not a strategy. Winning is having a plan and executing on it. Winning is taking personal responsibility to do the things that you want to do, that you've decided you need to do in order to fulfill your role in this life that the Father has blessed you with. That's way different than sitting around waiting for good shit to happen to you. It's making good shit happen. Is it difficult? Yes. Life's difficult. So I'd rather be engaged in difficulty and be prosperous, however you define that, than be engaged in difficulty and be spinning my friggin' wheels. Winning versus not losing. I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. Do me a favor, share this show with somebody you think needs to see it. Y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.